Operation 85.
Heads up, Operation 85.
The national program called Operation 85 helps link families to crew members killed.
Joining me now, Kevin Kline.
Operation 85.
So, Kevin, you are not a professional genealogist. You're not a historian. You're a husband, you're a father, you're a small businessman. You're also a musician. I found that interesting. You tickled the ivories at a Trump property once, which I kind of like.
And now, here's the host of the Sand Table, Kevin Kline.
Everybody, good morning, good evening, wherever in the world you are watching me today. My name is Kevin Kline. I am the Executive Director of Operation 85. I am a family member related to a U.S.S. Arizona crew member killed December 7th, 1941, and still missing. And I'm also the host of the Sand Table. What is the Sand Table? Well, the Sand Table is our platform to get information out to families, friends, and supporters that are supporting our project at Operation 85 with the U.S.S. Arizona. But also, it's starting to morph into other projects and family members that are interested in watching and interested in getting their information out about their missing crew members. So there's been a mix of information about that. But every once in a while, we want to bring on a guest that kind of we're going to step aside from the missing in action and step aside from that. And we're going to bring on a really fun, interesting guest that kind of relates to everything. We're going to bring on Don Francisco. He's going to be on here in just a few minutes. Real quick, let's get a little business today. We're not going to do numbers on this episode because John and I did numbers last week and we talked extensively about that. So no reason to go into that. Real quick, we do a little business. We want to remind everyone and thank everyone for our sponsor of Operation 85 and the Sand Table Show, List with Elizabeth. What is List with Elizabeth? Well, List with Elizabeth is a national agent referral network. Not many people know this, but when you go online to buy or sell a home and you go to those sites like Zillow or Realtor.com, and when you click and give your information, you're not doing that for free to the agent. The agents spend hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars just to buy the information from those sites. So List with Elizabeth does not do that. If you're looking to sell or buy a home anywhere in the country, anywhere in the good old USA, Elizabeth will connect you with an agent that she has worked with or her team has worked with or she knows personally that will do an amazing job for you. And we do not sell your information, or List with Elizabeth does not sell your information like some of those other big sites do. Not many people knew that. So if you're buying or selling a home anywhere in the USA, give Elizabeth a call, 703-829-LIST. Or go her online and visit her, listwithelizabeth.com. All right. And now the fun part. Now we get to go to the show. So my guest today, again, is someone that really isn't too much involved in MIAs or POWs, but he has an interesting story. He's been in the Army for over 30 years. Don Francisco is a New Orleans, Louisiana native. He graduated from Augustine High School in May of 1983. Wow. 10 years older than me, buddy. 10 years older than me. He looks 10 years younger. He enlisted in the Army in the summer of 1983. That summer, he graduated from the Armed Forces School of Music in Norfolk, Virginia, served in the 5th Infantry Division Band in Fort Polk, Louisiana, 8th Army Band in Seoul, Korea, and finished out his career at the world-famous Old Guard Fife and Drum Corps is right. I think so. Let's bring on my good friend Don Francisco. There you are, my friend. Now, I was I was told that you had a little audio problem.
Yes.
And that you would be using the little miniature bat phone child microphone.
Yes.
But it seems to be working okay. So
Yes.
Let's just get that out of the way.
Okay.
Your microphone wasn't working, but this was the backup, and
Yes.
we're gonna go with it. It's live, and anything can happen live. You definitely. They even told me it was little, and it is. It's very little. I love it. Don, welcome to the Sand Table. Welcome to the show, and thank you for your time today and coming on and talking to me and our audience. And I think people are going to really enjoy you. I think you're a celebrity, and people from all over the world know you, or at least remember you in some way or fashion, and we'll get to that and how you kind of became a celebrity Fife player. But let's start at the beginning. Tell us about your start in the U.S. Army. obviously it said you went in right after high school. What was your inspiration to join the Army, and did you join specifically to do music in the Army?
Well, Kevin, first of all, I want to thank you. We've been playing this for a while. It's great to be here. Thanks for all you do. And I do want to give a shout out to the Sand Table and Operation 85. On a personal note, I have been to Pearl Harbor. I've saluted our veterans who are buried at sea, 1177. So I get chill bumps when I think about that. So thank you, Kevin. To keep it simple, short, and sweet, I was graduating from high school. College was definitely a possibility, but it was a little complicated. A lot of things going on, and I knew I didn't want to have a gap year.
Mm-hmm.
Had an Army recruiter come by. Hey, there's a military band. I'm like, what? I'm going to get paid to play music, and I'm going to get to exercise and run. I had a little energy. For me, this was a win-win situation. I get to play music, stay in shape, and travel around the world and serve my country. I do love America. I'm a proud American.
We had the again live TV. We had the advertising. You are, Don, a proud American, and that's one of the things that I've always loved about you. Very kind person, very honest person, and the patriotism in your blood just runs just so deep. In your career in the Army, you had mentioned that you had served in several different, I guess, units, or what are they called there? And do you have any, I don't know, things that stood out in your mind as you just took that snapshot, that memory snapshot, and think back on what were some of your highlights of your career in the Army, serving for serving the country?
Sure, Kevin. Well, let me take off the cap so we can be brothers. We can be twins now. Wow, so many.
I have a little bit more lighting in this studio than you do, but you got it behind you. But that's all right. I need the makeup on here.
Well, as soon as you said that, I thought about in the 1990s when President Bill Clinton was in the White House. I was humbled, blessed, and honored to play for the late President Nelson Mandela of South Africa. I will never forget marching that ceremony, even as we speak now. I was blessed to play for the Pope, Queen Elizabeth II. A while back, I got to play for then Prince Charles. Now he's King Charles. And some of the simple jobs of playing at elementary school, seeing the kids' face light up, sharing music with them, music being an international language, from nursery rhymes to classical to gospel to jazz, patriotic folk, Irish. This is a very special job for Queen Elizabeth at the White House. That snapshot picture, so you look at our knee bands, the training we go to do jobs like this, hours, weeks, months of training, a split second.
I was going to ask that when you do an event like this at the White House, literally, I've seen the old guard, march by. It's great to watch, but we're talking, so short in the show. But I'm sure there's so much practice and things you have to do to prepare for this. When you, as an example, here you are with President Bush at the White House and the Queen of England. What went through that? Like, what was the process? How many times did you march it? Did you march it, before? Like, explain what you had to do to prepare for an event like a world leader coming in to visit a president.
There's the non-musical aspect of it also. Don't forget that. A White House clearance, background investigation checks, things like this. As far as the musical side of it, drill and ceremony, memorizing music, playing the right song at the right time, playing in tune, being in step, following the drum major's commands, things like this. So that's some practice sessions are several hours, some are only an hour. Some come back and do it again before lunch and after lunch. There's good days and bad days, but the training helps. You don't want to become a robot about it, but you do want to become muscle memory.
Right.
And you have to be flexible and you have to adjust. Weather things change. You're trying to play in tune and it's cold outside, things like this. So we train in the rain and the heat and the cold.
Right. Here's a shot. Another state visit, President Bush, and is that the Prime Minister of India?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Sorry, I don't know his name. Do you know his name?
I can't remember. Sorry to say at this time. I can't.
We'll have somebody look it up and throw it in later. Again, and on the right side, that's you standing next to Netanyahu.
Netanyahu of Israel.
Yeah,
yes.
I mean, there's so many. Have there been anyone that you have said, like, wow? I mean, you do this so much. I doubt you're starstruck, but certainly you've probably met so many people. Is there anyone that you've said, "Well, wow, I've really enjoyed my time or meeting that person"?
Meeting President George Bush, W. Bush, the son, on the White House South Lawn. It was a gathering. It was a little barbecue on the backyard, basically, and it was really neat. He was wearing cowboy boots. I mean, he was very down to earth. That was like, wow, okay, that's the leader of the free world.
Right.
Um, uh, and when Queen Elizabeth walked by doing the inspection of the troops, I wasn't able to speak. I was standing at attention. My eyes were straight forward.
Mm-hmm.
But knowing royalty is there, and then playing for then Prince Charles and King Charles. But I pray, play, and practice, and I just want to keep things, in context. I know there's a lot of other musicians out there with some great jobs, some unsung heroes, some people that might not be as well known, but I know musicians who are much better than me, more educated than me. I'm
Right.
just glad to be a part of something so much bigger than me. I want to inspire and encourage others.
Our team found this young picture of you.
Yeah.
Look at that young guy. When was this taken, and who is that next to you? You're obviously on the
Thanks
left
for
there.
asking. Thanks for asking. This is one of my beautiful brothers from another mother,
Mhm.
Tyler Kyle Mayo. He motivated, encouraged, and inspired me from the beginning. 1985, Fort Polk, Louisiana, which is now named Fort Johnson. By the way, it was renamed after a soldier, Sergeant William Henry Johnson, a World War I veteran, African-American, Medal of Honor winner, the French, the Croix de Gras, the French medal. He was in World War I, the Harlem Hellfighters. That's a history lesson in itself. But Tyler Mayo encouraged me and inspired me from the get-go. The rank on our hats, a specialist 5. That rank doesn't exist anymore. Now it's a sergeant, an E5 sergeant.
Mhm.
So yeah, stuff like that motivates me also. Never forget where you come from, your beginnings, your foundation.
How long were you with the old guard, and was that was that like the cream of the crop as far as your
Yeah, that was
service to the country and the bands you played in? Was this like the
yeah.
the big
That
one?
was
How long were you with the old guard?
I was at the old guard for 22 years. I got there
Oh,
in
wow.
August of 91, and I retired in July of 2013.
What is the process or for becoming a member of the old guard? I mean, I'm assuming this is the elite of the elite as far
Yeah.
as musicians go. What is the process for becoming a member of the old guard, and what did you have to do also, if anything, to stay in the game
Yes.
throughout the 20 years?
Thanks for asking that, because it's not just achieving, it's maintaining and sustaining. So it's an audition process, memorize music, marching, once again, the administrative stuff, the background checks and things like that. So you can go on the website for the Old Guard Fife and Drum Corps, and there's also the United States Army Band Pershing Zone, my fellow soldier musicians. That's a separate unit to itself.
Mhm.
And we've had soldiers go from the Fife and Drum Corps to Pershing Zone. We both have great mutual respect, love, and admiration for one another. Audition process, memorize music, show up, be prepared. Things like a standing test. How long can you stand still? Might sound simple, but let sweat start rolling down your back and in your eyes. It's salty, it burns. Things like that. Maintaining your composure. Just patience, drill, and ceremony.
I can imagine those uniforms aren't very cool in the summertime.
No, they're not.
Is that like what are they made of? Like how
That's
how
wool.
hot are they? Wool.
That's wool, and I can still feel sweat rolling down my back. One of the speeches, the general would say, "Soldiers standing in the hot sun." The late General Gardner Sullivan, the 34th Chief of Staff of the United States Army. I call him a mentor, a hero, a friend of mine. But he would give a shout out to us soldiers. It's about teamwork, your battle buddy. The picture you're looking at right now, that snapshot in history, the knee bend we have, not just being left, right, left, but being in phasing. I remember my training in Francisco. You're on the right foot, but you're a little ahead of the beat. You're a little behind the beat. Do it again. Retrain.
Right.
I had some great leadership, and then I was able to help train some soldiers. And that's what it's about, working together as a team. We all have our strengths and weaknesses. We come from so many different backgrounds. You know, I have a little jazz and gospel jazz and classical in me. Classical. We have some folks who are more classical, some from the ancient Fife and drum corps world in New England.
Mhm.
Jazz is so. What's the neat part is when we come together and we're literally on the same sheet of music, figuratively and literally.
Right. That's the interesting thing about music. It's kind of an international language, and it brings people together. And I want to talk about that a little bit later. So 22 years in the old guard, kings, queens,
Mm.
presidents, world leaders, sweaty wool outfits in the sun forever, all that stuff you went through. Thank you for those 30 years of
Well,
service,
well,
Don. And I know you still carry that love for the U.S. Army and the love for music through you even after retirement. When did you officially retire?
officially July 31st, 2013, and it was emotional. I
Mm-hmm.
was on the other side of the podium. I played many retirement ceremonies, but to be on the other side looking at my group march by, it brought a tear to my eye. This was the last hurrah, the last huzzah. And
Right.
wow. By the way, Kevin, I want to throw out a shout out to you, my brother, because you and I have a special relationship. We play music together, but we're also compatriots in the Sons of the American Revolution.
That is right.
You are,
Congratulations. We
thank
belong
you
to the
very much.
same
You were,
chapter here in Northern
yeah.
Virginia. So our families go back to the beginnings of this country together. And so
Yes, yes.
that's an exciting thing too with the you've been a member now about probably 8 or 9 years now, or it's
Um,
been a while, right?
yeah, it was a little pre-COVID, so a little less than that. But I remember before I became a member, you recommended me for a Patriotism Award because even as we speak now, the United States flag is flying outside my house on a flagpole.
It always is. And for anyone that doesn't know what the Sons of the American Revolution is, it's a fraternal organization that requires you to have genealogical information that goes back to some. There's that thumb again. Genealogical information that goes back to someone that either participated or fought in the American Revolution. So, so Don and I have ancestors that go back and actually fought and supported the American Revolution and what made our country so great. All right, Don, I want to move on. You've retired. I hadn't met you yet, and you and I met at a very special place. And
Yes.
before we start talking about this, I'll do a full disclaimer. I want to ask you about your career after retirement with George Washington's Mount Vernon. And I'm asking you these questions because it's such a huge part of your life, but obviously you're not here today representing the Mount Vernon Ladies Association or George Washington's Mount Vernon. You're here representing Don Francisco, but we have to talk about it because it's such an amazing part of your life. It's how I met you. And I think, I know you talk about the old guard as being the shining moment in your life. And I didn't know you then, but I got to meet you and know you through our work together at George Washington's Mount Vernon. And I see the big light in your life of the work that you do there. And I just kind of wanted to touch on that. So you are the, I guess would be resident Fifer
Resident Fifer, yep.
at George Washington's Mount Vernon. There's a picture of you there in front of the estate, and there's our friend Miss General Washington and his wife and a young lady there. And I worked as the executive assistant to the president at George Washington's Mount Vernon, which is actually the oldest nonprofit in the entire country, right? That's still running.
Yes.
And Don was a history interpreter at the time, and every once in a while they'd let him put on the uniform and they'd send him out there. And I got to tell you, I saw the light shine in people's eyes, the excitement when you were out there. Don, you have a way of using your talent and using your music to connect with so many people. And that's really what I loved watching with you out onto the estate and visiting with guests. Millions of people show up to Mount Vernon every year, and they come from many different countries. They speak different languages, have different cultures. They're young, they're old, they're in between. And Don, I've watched you interact with these guests for years, and you find a way, no matter who that person is, to connect with them, and you connect with them through your music. And that just shows that you're using your talent of music, but also your ability to use that international language of music at Mount Vernon. Tell us exactly how you got started as the resident Fifer and kind of what you do there at Mount Vernon today.
Sure, Kevin. So upon retirement, I needed a job. But the neat thing is, before I retired, I was working at Mount Vernon as an active duty soldier, not on a payrolls, but as a soldier performing at General Washington's birthday celebrations,
Mhm.
4th of July celebrations, and then I would volunteer at Mount Vernon. Um, and I was offered some nice jobs, retiring from the Army, civil service, Pentagon, and things like that. I was humbled, honored, and blessed. At the same time, I knew that wasn't my calling. I wouldn't have been happy, no
Well,
matter how much money it would have brought. That's not me. I'm not a desk person.
exactly. Let me give you this funny story I think you'll like. So, my oldest daughter is in 6th grade, and it's a tradition in Fairfax County, Virginia, to take all the kids eventually to a field trip to Mount Vernon. And my wife was supposed to chaperone that day. She ended up sick. I was the replacement. So I'm on the bus with about 50 6th graders screaming and yelling. And I'm up front, and of course, the kids want me in the back. I'm up front with the teachers, and I heard my daughter's teacher say, I'm really excited. I hope that Fife player is there. And and I think people may not know your name and know who you are, but everyone that goes to Mount Vernon while you're there remembers the Fife guy. And it was really interesting to me that that was the first thing she was looking forward to, was hoping to hear or see the Fife guy. And then I'm sitting there realizing, hey, I know the Fife guy. I got the Fife guy in my cell. Are you kidding me? In my Rolodex here. I'm going to call the Fife guy. So I texted you really quickly and said, hey, are you working today? We're on the way to Mount Vernon. You're like, yeah. And then, give me 5 minutes. Let me know when you're up at the bus. So literally, we pull up to Mount Vernon and pull up to the front with all these kids, 50 kids in the bus. And we get this. Now, I have to say, you just came onto the bus. You're right there where the door is. I'm the first seat behind you, filming you. There's 50 kids in the back, and if you notice, there's not a sound from them. They're peep quiet, and I'm thinking, oh my God, did I embarrass my daughter? Am I going to get yelled at? What are these kids going to do? Because they are 6th graders. They are immature kids, right? And so I haven't looked back. I'm holding my breath. I have no idea what's going to go on. And then you keep playing. And look. They love you, Don.
Say something they know.
Are you kidding me? They love you.
SpongeBob SquarePants.
What a great memory, Kevin. What a great memory. Like it was yesterday, man.
I could never be as cool as you are with these 6th graders. They don't think I'm that cool. I just kept quiet. But look at you. Look at this.
That was fun, man. That was a beautiful day. I'll never forget that, man. That was awesome. I love those children. Beautiful.
So one of the things I love about is, again, that interaction that you have, and you use music to interact with me. You didn't go on there and make a speech, and certainly, you went on there and you did what you love to do, which is perform and play music. And in Mount Vernon, you also do some things where you get to teach people about music. And our little group went in. We were lucky to have you with us for a part of the day while we were around. And it just, again, an opportunity where you interact with these kids, and through that interaction, you're teaching them this music. And I'll let you go here.
That was fun. We got jiggy with it. We did a jig. St. Patrick's Day coming up. It's bright, beautiful kid. You love a young daughter that, and wow. And that's the stuff that money can't buy. That's the stuff.
You're right. And you've made those kids that they'll always remember that. The teachers remember that. And point being, all visitors remember that. This isn't something you did special for me that day because you knew me. That's something that you do. You have this love for music and love for people in your heart, and it shows. It's huge. And that's really what I wanted to, highlight for this show today. Is I don't think personally you get enough credit for the amazing things that you do. I've always been a fan of Don Francisco and what you bring to the experience of Mount Vernon. As an employee when I was there, I saw it, and as a guest when I come back later, it's. I personally think you're a little underused, undervalued there, but that's my personal opinion. We're not going to talk about that, but what you do for that organization and creating memories is really good. This is one of my favorite moments when we were going to we had our tour of the mansion, and we needed a quick way to get there, and you organized the whole group, and here we go.
March!
How do you get a bunch of sixth graders to do that?
They're impressive. I'm proud of them. Look at that. On the right foot, left, right, left. That's what I'm talking about. That motivates, encourages, inspires me. Got my colonel, captain, sergeant major. You got an 8-star general somewhere out there.
All right, no problem.
It's the experience that these kids had was just so much, and I enjoyed it too. One of the last things I wanted to do, and it was when I brought guests to Mount Vernon, I was able to give tours. Now, my tours were never as exciting and fun as the Don Francisco tour. But occasionally I would always bring people down to the tomb. Not many people know this if you haven't visited George Washington's Mount Vernon, but what you would say about 400 yards away from the mansion is where our first president is buried. It's a beautiful brick tomb, beautiful sarcophagus that he has in there. It's just very, very nicely done. And it's very respectful of our first president. And one of the things that some guests get to do are the wreath laying ceremony. And you allowed, 2 sixth graders to do that. And, I was wondering when they were doing it, whether they really understood what they were doing. And at the end, when it was finished and they came back over, both of them whispered under their breath because they were right next to me, "I can't believe we just did that." Like, they did understand how impactful what it was that they did. They did understand the importance of what they did and the patriotism. And I think you took these little sixth graders and you just made their patriot meter go up, another tenfold. And I want to show this real quick, what you do. I mean, there's so much that you do, but this was just a little glimpse of the wreath laying ceremony that these 2 kids got to experience because of you.
Very respectfully, walk in the center and pause for a while. Very good. Stand around and face us and pause it. This is sung to honor our fallen, General Washington, Ms. Washington, our service members. You mentioned brethren in the field in that prayer. That's the military. Silence. Never gets so emotional, powerful.
Right. And you get to do that pretty almost every day. You get to experience the patriotism that came from our first president, and you get to see where this great country pretty much started. I know it didn't start at Mount Vernon, but the feelings and the emotions and the ideas that created this great experiment started with a man that lived on a farm and created that estate and gave up a lot of his life to sacrifice for what wasn't even a country at the time. He sacrificed as a general in the Continental Army. He believed in this country before the country was here to believe in. And you constantly, Don, promote patriotism through your talent, through your music, through the love you have of people, the love you have for music, and the love you have for this country. So I'm very grateful to call you a friend. I'm very grateful to bring you on as a friend and let other people see how awesome you are. Thank you for everything that you do. Thank you for your 30 years of service in our country. Thank you for the great service you do at Mount Vernon. Although I know we promised we wouldn't be speaking on behalf, which we're not. We're not speaking on behalf. I'm sure they will appreciate this if they do see it. Because, Don, you are a rock star and a superhero when it comes to all that. Is there anything else you wanted to say before we wind it up here?
Yeah, Kevin, I just really do want to thank you. You've been a big blessing and encouragement for me. You've been an advocate and ambassador for me before I became resident Fifer. You were tooting my horn, basically. So, and that's what
I know
it's
good
about.
talent when I see it.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it. And then, of course, we got to jam together on the little Betty and the Jets. Is that what we played?
We did. We played
Yeah.
and the band played at Mount Vernon. So I have one more story I want to go over with you. I want to end the rumors.
Sure.
About 2 years ago, I had a Civil War fife on eBay.
Yes.
And I called Don up and I said, "Hey, Don, you want to buy this fife from me?" And you came over and looked at it. You said, "Oh, I have 20 of them." You weren't interested in that fife. You had 20. So I put it back on eBay. I think I had it on there for a couple $100. And one day I got a phone call from who else but Pawn Stars. And Pawn Stars wanted me to come on the show and sell that fife. And I don't know if I'm saying more things than I should say about the show, but long story short, you and I did go on Pawn Stars, okay? Yeah. And there we are. There we are with another bald guy, right?
Yeah, hey.
That other guy in the red shirt never took his hat off. So I don't know if he is bald not under there or what, but he never took his hat off. But the point of me going on the show is I was supposed to be bringing on a piece of the U.S.S. Arizona, and clearly that part made it. I asked for $1 million because I didn't really want to sell it. I was trying to get the word out about my uncle and the U.S.S. Arizona. So they didn't buy the $1 million piece of the U.S.S. Arizona, and that's okay. It happily still sits in my collection. To be honest, it was priceless to me. But they did buy the fife.
Right.
And we taped a whole segment. We were probably there for, 4 hours?
Oh, yeah.
5 hours.
They provided food for us.
Lunch. We taped this whole segment, and they cut out the family stuff for the Arizona, from me, and they cut all of Don Francisco out. Buddy, I am sorry, man. I was so looking forward to that, and they put half of what I did on the cutting room the floor, and they did all of what you did on the cutting room floor, but I guess that's Hollywood, right?
Yeah, no problem. Cool. So cool.
I bought the fife for $100, and I sold it to Rick from the pawn shop for $400. So sweet. I made out, right?
Yeah, good deal. Good deal, bud. I was glad to do it.
It was a fun time, and I'm grateful that you got to experience that with me. And it's kind of bummed they cut you off at the end, but that's Hollywood. But I still have the memories with you, Don. You've been a great friend, a great patriot. Thank you so much for coming on the Sand Table. You're welcome anytime with anything you want to do. I really appreciate it. Any other last shout outs?
Yeah.
How can we get a hold of you or follow you if you are a fan out there that wants to follow Don Francisco?
I'm on Facebook. I'm Googleable.
There's your Instagram flashing there at the bottom.
Thanks so much, Kevin. But interesting you should mention them cutting me on the show thing, because honestly, I pray, play, and practice, and I do this. It's not about always getting the recognition. Yeah, recognition is nice, but sometimes you won't find out till years later or much later, and that's cool with me. My little motto is faith, family, and fun. For me, faith, Jesus, wife, Fife. That's my play line in a way of what motivates me and encourages me, inspires me. I take my faith seriously. My wife, my family, and friends like you. I owe you lunch. We owe each other some lunch. We got to get together to celebrate, and just doing this beautiful show here, brother. I appreciate you. And just the music being international language. Thank you very much, Kevin, for doing this. I salute you, my brother, my friend, my compatriot.
Thanks, Don. Thanks for coming on the show. Maybe we'll have you back again.
Sounds good. All right.
All right, everybody. That is it for us. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you to my very, very good friend and special guest, the world famous Don Francisco, resident Fifer at George Washington's Mount Vernon. Although I'm not supposed to be plugging Mount Vernon, but hey, I work there. I love that place too. Don loves it too. It's a great place if you're ever in town. It's only about 15 minutes south of Washington, D.C., and it is the home of our first president. It's a beautifully run estate, beautiful museum, farms. It's a great place to visit. So Don's lucky enough to continue working there. I only had a 1 year there, but I really appreciate the opportunity I had, and I appreciate making a good friend like Don with us. That's it for the show today, everybody. Thank you for joining us. You can join us every Wednesday, 7 p.m. We stream live, and we'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.